Welcome to another episode of Winspiration Radio and Winning for Life. Today I like to reflect with you, contemplate with you about authenticity. What does that really mean? Being authentic, living an authentic life. Most of us maybe have an idea, but we're not living it. We're always looking on the outside. And it's very interesting also I hear from myself in these shows and episodes to be authentic. And it's difficult, and so far I'm not really realizing make it happen. It's very interesting. Johan Ilgenfritz, the founder of UKL's Radio, asked me once to start Winspiration here. And he attended a seminar I gave in Berlin 2 years ago. And he said, wow, it was one of his best seminars, but looking in the show, the guy he met in the seminar, he never felt in the UK episodes. So what is the difference? And there are a lot of profiles where you can figure out what is your true self. And we talk here a lot about the true self, or in this context, the authentic self. And when I'm just with, I say, in my middle, with me, connected in spirit, something is flowing through me. And in a seminar, I can tune in, and it's like, I'm kind of different frequency, and I'm just there for the people which are in front of me. I come work with them, have the frequency feeling also. Where are they? Which level of frequency with their topic, what they're getting, what they're not getting. And here with the radio, I started, how does it work? How do you do a radio show? What is here really important? And what happened that moment? My left brain took over, and how do I fit in? Do I do it right, wrong? And right and wrong is not the question of the authentic self, because the authentic self has no right and wrong. It just is. And like we often talked about our true 5 selves, and it's a kind of steps, but the true self is the authentic self. But it's not so easy to really live authentic, because our focus is often on the outside. We're not really living from the inside out. Oh, how is it with you? I can recommend a simple task. First of all, if you just stop a moment and feel. Hopefully you're not driving a car, then not, but if you're not driving a car, then just stop and feel. Maybe even close your eyes and where is my intention? Where am I going? What am I focusing? Focusing outside? How do I do that? What is my actual question? How can I do that? What do I need to do now? And then you're easy in kind of programming what other people think you should do. Is there a must, a should in your brain, in your thinking, I should, must do? Is there the question what other people think about you? The authentic self has not those thoughts. The authentic self has not the musts, the shoulds, and what other people think about me. Because just simply, you see it with kids, they come on planet Earth, they come out of the world, just be, they are. And they only can be. We need to train them that they see the difference between You and me and the I. We need to teach them the I and how they should. And if they do this, we don't love them. And so we really create something what we can simply call ego. I call it different subpersonalities. And the problem is then, because most parents and other authority figures say, you are bad, you are good, you are intelligent, and whatever. And then we identify with the subpersonality or the persona we create. And at the moment we identify with something, we are lost. At least we are not authentic. Because if you identify yourself with something what you are not truly are, you can't be authentic. When we just worked with someone on wording, because my background is law, and lawyers make complicated sentences, so I asked him, can you make it simpler? And then he wrote also, yeah, there's a way to it's hard to develop the authentic self. No, you are the true self. You are the authentic self. The problem is not to find yourself, it's just get rid of what you're not. Michelangelo, who created the famous statue David, he was asked, how can you make out of a stone such a David? And he says, I don't do that. I see David and get rid of all the stones around him which not belong to him. And this is somehow, we should understand, we don't need to do something for our authentic self. We don't need to do something for our true self. We need to stop identifying with what we are not and getting rid of what doesn't really belong to me. But we are living in a society where we say, success is this, you need that. Like then the Bible already said, they were dancing around the golden wheel and just, thinking all on the outside stuff. But those who are truly, truly, truly happy and often financially in a good position are those who live an authentic life. And isn't it so? If you identify yourself with a wrong persona in this way, or with the persona you created, and you're making money and all this, and you see it, those who do that often losing the money. Like, money's coming fast, it goes fast. It's like it goes like it comes. So if you created it because you were in a wrong identification, you spend it also wrong. You can't keep it for the true self. What you make for the subpersonality will stay with the subpersonality. And that's why it is so hard to understand, because we are not trained to really take care of our authentic self. So that's why we have a hard time to believe that the authentic self can be also financially successful. But most of the time, that's what it really is. Maybe it's best to understand if you think in musicians. I don't know who said it. Well, was it David Bowie or whatever? He said, if you try to make music to please the public, it's very hard that you successful. Maybe you create a hit because you just were on time, like as the happy song. If you just on the right day, on the right time, someone gives you the right song, yeah, that can be a success. But who stays there for long? What is really a star? And if you look at Paul McCartney, the Stones, what I heard about Coldplay and other things, those were there around for a long time. They're just living. Like if you have the music in your blood, like I grew up with the Beatles, so that's why I say, look at Paul McCartney. Lennon, I think, would be the same. And you see, he was killed after coming out of a studio. They had a lot of success. They have reputation, they have money, but they love to be on stage and give from their music. There were once a story I heard from Paul McCartney. He was sitting in Brighton in front of a house on the stairs and just playing guitar. And kids were there standing around and didn't know who he was. He just played the music. He loved it. And they played it kids. And they loved to do it. They went to Hamburg and played 10 hours a day or whatever. They really were identified with what they did, and that's why they could change the music in just a short period of time. Became one of the world's greatest bands, and still today, they stopped as a Beatles 69, so it's more than 50 years ago, and still one of the best paid bands. So there is something different. And I have a friend who was close with Chris Martin from Coldplay, and he said, Chris told me that in the beginning it was always about getting a gig, getting a record deal, getting this, getting that, getting this, getting money. Today, it's all about giving. And if you see Chris Martin on stage, how he's playing, you feel how important it is to live it, that he is the musician. He is the guy who gives to the public. And you can see it also, and it's not a guarantee, but it's a sign, like in Coldplay, the band, it doesn't matter who writes the song. They share everything. Because it's not about the ego, who writes the song, who gets more money or whatever. No, it's like in a good family, we share. We share for the best of all, and we share with the public. And then you come closer to your authentic self. If you live what you truly are. So why we are not doing it? You know, it's simply said, for generations, we were in the survival mode. So that means also a whole system. We know they have the reptile brain and so on. And everything, our brain is not really made for success. Our brain is not the dominant factor that you live an authentic life. The brain is for survival. And survival needs to focus on the outside. So we created a brain what is somehow hindering us to be and to live the authentic life. Not to be, we are it, but to live the authentic life. And the brain is tricking us. And then in the Western society, Descartes said, because I'm thinking I am. And it's not true. You are, even if you're not using your left brain, really. And we know from the limbic system, where we have the feeling if something is right or wrong for us, we don't have the words. The limbic system can't go in words because it is more connected to the non-duality. And the true, authentic self is all there is. And it's not just on a 3D level, it's in the dimensions. It is also in the non-duality. So that makes it so tough when we are trained in the survival mood on the duality level to be connected with our true self, our authentic self, connected to the non-duality. And it's, yeah, from the logic, it's a little bit difficult. How can I be connected with a non-duality and live on the duality level? Maybe it helps this picture. If you're totally in love, or if you have a family and you have kids, you can go to work, you can do something, or you go on a tennis court or whatever, where you are without your kids, without your loved partner. But you, the true, authentic self, can be still connected and be the person who is in love and caring for the whole family, even if you do something on the 3D level. But you see also people who are playing tennis or go to work and totally disconnected from the family, from love. And my understanding of the Bible is if you're thrown out of the paradise, this means disconnected to the quantum world, to the higher spirit, to your true self. And what does the disconnection make? Why we are disconnected? Because, here we're coming back, because we identify ourselves with something else. If we identify ourselves with something on the 3D world, the persona we create, or the stripes on the arm of it, I have this CEO title or whatever, with whatever champion pot you get and everything. If you identify yourself with your body, if that's all, like a car and the driver, if you think you are the car and not the driver, you should in this way love the car and know this is my car, this is my body, but I am not the body. The moment you identify yourself with your body, with your thoughts, with a title, with a profession, you disconnect from your authentic self. And that creates a lot of problems. When I say problems, I use also the word I'm often using to say, hey, pro, okay, it's pro, and not contra. But we have the understanding in general a problem is a problem and you need to solve something. But that's somehow what the Greek word means. Here's something, here's a task, solve it. So, but when I said you are disconnected or identified with something else, you have a big challenge. Now, you listen here to the episode on the UK Health Radio. And UK Health Radio came to life after Johan Fritz changed his life. He was a fashion photographer, got cancer, and after the session, where do I get good informations? And he created this platform. Wonderful change to the authentic self. But sometimes you need to go through other things in the duality world to really realize who you truly are, what is your, let's say, task here as your true authentic self on planet Earth? What is it what you really want to give? And he just wrote a book, and we often talked about it, is a lot of people who are sick say, I am sick. I have that. I can't. I have cancer or whatever. And then you're already in a big trap. Not you. Like I like to compare it simply with the car and the driver. If the car has a problem, the car has not enough air in the wheels, or the car has no gas, or the car has a crash, or whatever, the driver can be still totally okay. Yeah? And he is. So we need to be really clear, oh, the body has something, not me. I don't identify myself with the scratch on the car. It's not me. It sounds so simple, but guess what? When I had my first car, I identified with my car, and then I saw a scratch. Oh, it hurt me. And once when I did the millionaire seminars, I took there was at the time in Germany, 100 Deutschmarks at that time, but you can do it with a 100-pound note, or if there exists, or a $100 note, or and I was standing in front of the group in the workshop, and we're tearing it apart. And you should have seen the faces of the people. They had stress. And that was an interesting topic to talk with them about it. Why do you have stress? It's not your money. It's not your body. It's my money, or even in most countries it's not my money, it's the money of whatever bank. And in Germany it is, if you tear it apart, bring it to the bank, you get a new one. So it's nothing lost. And for those, for sure not lost. But it's so interesting to see what happens with these outside things. So with what thought are those people, are we identified? Byron Katie always asks, who would you be without your story, without this story? We make up a story, we invent a persona, and then we start believing it. And we can't really create a good new future, live up to our authentic self, because we go on the memory and are very programmed, identified with, in the end, with the past. Where did we create the persona? In the past. But we live it in the present, focusing, and are still identifying with it. And I really, really recommend that you check every day where we're identified with something. What I'm not truly. It's difficult in the beginning. Maybe you don't realize it because you identified with something and you can't see it. So try to go in a kind of meta level and watch and understand. You are not your body and you are not your thoughts. Because if you can watch what you're doing from the meta level, if you can watch from the meta level what you think, you can't be it. You can't be what you can observe. But you know from the quantum physics, this simple sentence, the observer decides. So if you only observe the past and what you see and say believe the subpersonality, if you identify with it, you only see that. And then you create it. But that doesn't mean that it's your authentic self and that is the only possibility to live on this planet. We are programmed, and somehow we like puppet on the strings. And therefore, another tip, check every day, how do you start the day? Is this always the same routine? Can you do something different? Like my mentor, Bob Proctor, always said, when you want to change something, maybe you go out of bed with the other leg. Or if you go in the trousers, start with the other leg first. Brush your teeth with the other hand. Let the body know we're going out of the old routine, we're doing something new. What is different? Only if you change something. There's also the saying, if you always do what you've done so far, you always get the same results. You know that. But it is really not just on the simple doing, because you can always drive the same car, you can drive the same street, but you can drive as a driver, totally driven. You can ignore the car, you can love the car, you can focus on what I have to do next, or you can see the beautiful nature. So from the outside, it's maybe not totally different, but the inside changes. Are you really connected with yourself? Who is driving, the subpersonality or the authentic self? But you can check also with cars and all the material stuff, like in my book, Better the Whole World Against Me Than My Soul, and you find here on the page, UK Health Radio, on the homepage, a banner you can click and buy it. I really recommend it. Not only it's because for me, because it's just from this topic. And I always check what can go out of your life. The material stuff or people or whatever. And how is it challenging you to give something up? Maybe you're familiar with my story. I had a big law office, a tax accounting company, a huge facade. Everybody said, wow, Wolfgang is so successful, best address, big facade, employees and everything. But it was done by a subpersonality. It was done because my dad said, you never will make it. So I had a feeling, I guess subconsciously, I need to prove something. So I went for the facade that everybody sees, yes, I can do something. But it has nothing to do with my true self, my authentic self. So I needed to get rid of everything. That was not so easy because my subpersonality was identified with it and get out of the identification and get everything away, what I worked for 10, 15 years. Or becoming a lawyer took me a long time, and then the office. I worked so hard for it, and now just get rid of it? No, that was not easy. And I'm in the same process now, because we have it a couple of times in our lives, that we should, with growing age, be different, experience different things. Like when you're young, you need to build something. And when you're older and ideally wiser, you should more give for sure and share and help others not to make all the mistakes. So there's things in life, what is it? Not only the body is changing, nature is changing you. No, it's also, if you go on a Chinese medicine, there are always every 7 years you get a different topic which you should work on. So where are you in life and what is important? And this means all the time, like animals do it with the winter changing the fur or the skin, we should do it also, changing our skin. I'm not the same person than 5 years ago. I have a different task to do. I learn something new. I want to come closer, ideally, to my true self. Because that's also, we talked a lot about it, with the top 5 regrets of the dying, that what they regret is what they didn't do, not what they done, what they didn't do. And number one is, I didn't live my true self. And that is the most, but what we should understand how our body hormones that we come on planet Earth are trained from our parents to fit into something, in a society, fit in, depending where you're born. If you're born in the UK or in Afghanistan or in Gaza, you train totally different as a kid. So it's just by accident where you were born what you are trained. It's not your true identity. But then also we have a hormonal system. So because of survival of the art, you should reproduce and everything. So you have different hormones in the 20s, and with a lot of things in the body after 20, 25, there's less and less produced in the body. A lot of things, because nature thinks you reproduce, so it's not so important. And you know, the lifespan 2,000 years ago was more about 30 years, so it needed to be different. So I experienced in Sweden, where they have a long winter, dark winter, and then a shorter spring and summer. The nature is so intense in spring, like the flowers know we have not enough time, we need to do it now. It's so different. Nature organizes. And if you're not aware that your body has its own rhythm of thousands of years, nature built it. You are not your body. Something is happening in the hormonal chemical system. And that's why we need to understand, although, and I wrote in the book, that the whole world against me, my soul, also about how addicted we are to a special chemistry in our body, right? Because the subpersonality needs a special chemistry to create this strange persona. And that is, in the end, that what makes us sick. Everything was against our authentic self is a stressor. So need to be aware what's happening in the body. It's like driving a car. The car needs something special, oil, gas, or whatever, that it can function well. And after a while, you need to refill gas, oil, everything, or maybe replace parts. That's on the material level. You need to take care. But the more love you have for your car, so less stress has a car. You drive different. You take more care. And that's why some old-timers are still racing. And some others, cars after 5 years, you can throw them away because they were treated different. So this connection, our body, our subpersonality, we need to disconnect in this way and understand this kind of duality. There is a body, and here is, simply say, the soul, the spirit. And be aware of both. But your true authenticity is the soul. And you have only one body. You get only one car. This is the understanding. But you are not the car. But it's your only car. Get it? We mentioned now chemistry, hormones, body, car, the driver, soul, a lot of things. The true self, top 5 regrets. You see, somehow it's extremely simple. There is somehow in the quantum world, as we say today, or in the non-duality, there is your soul. And it's a kind of separate identity, or even in an astral or causal world. But on a 3D level, you only can survive with a kind of ego, persona. You need to have a kind of identification of the body, not only just an identity ID card, but you need to see, oh, this is my body here. But you shouldn't be totally identified and lose yourself. That's why if someone gets too crazy or whatever, we say he lost himself. So if you, like I said in the book, get rid of everything, you don't need anything, then you're free. Then you discover more and more your authentic self. Does it mean you need to live poor? No. Maybe it can be, if it's the best for you. If you came to planet Earth to be a begging monk or whatever, then okay, maybe then it's, but I don't believe in that. I believe what Jesus said or God says, you are a spiritual being and learn to handle material stuff. And we all can live a wonderful life, a really called luxury life, paradise life. There's so much money, there's so much food, there's everything on planet Earth. It's all enough. But it's not just the greedy rich who take it away. It's the poor who mostly disconnected. And wealth, money goes there where it's welcome. And those, call it law of attraction, live in the lack of, identify with subpersonalities and everything. That's why we don't get the paradise. If we would all live the authentic self and be clear about our authentic self, guess what? Were we to meet? You share what is your authentic self, I share what is my authentic self. Maybe you don't really need to share it because we feel it and understand it directly on the non-duality level, and then we can create what is in our best interest. Like even in African countries, they have still the Ubuntu or the we culture. And that we all finally understand we are living here on the planet Earth as a family, but like some families, yeah, there's all a lot of fights going on in the family, but it's for sure not for the best of everybody. That is not a nice living in those families. And those where there really is a support, and that doesn't mean we're all yes-sayers. That means we try to figure out what is your specialty, what is your authenticity. And if we are not working for the authenticity, I think it will be tougher and tougher until you see the world of separation and fights. And do you have the feeling those two parties or whatever in a private relationship, if so, I have to be right and fight for that it's really the true authentic self? Is it really why we're in the relationship? Why we can't forgive and say, forget everything what we did, sir. Why were we here? What would we create? Was it about love? Was it about doing something together? Or having a possibility to fight? Well, looking for a fighting partner? No. And it's what is in our highest interest and not how we fight on a 3D level. We fight only on a 3D level when we're disconnected. The more we are connected with our true, authentic self, we have no interest to fight. We have the interest to bring our purpose into life. So maybe not everybody needs my service, but by 8 million people, when we all understand, we all can contribute, that we all can live in a paradise world. Yeah, but there are people who are fighting, and look, the Hamas or whatever, terrorists. Yeah. On the level of duality, you always will have that. There must be good and bad. There must be dark and light. But where do we give our energy? What is the true identity? And good and bad can be totally on different levels. And we have a different interest. I believe there is so much more possibilities for win-win and for paradise we ever experienced and tried to accomplish. But it's not about, and here comes, it's not about asking the government, it's not asking a boss, a partner, you should do something. The moment you ask the others to change your life, I guess you're still connected, identified with your sub-personality or persona. Because if you really get it, if you really understand and are connected, disconnected with sub-personality, connected with your true self, your authentic self, you're not asking others to change. Because asking others to change says you are not okay. And if you say others are not okay, you have a lack of. You want them to do something, and that only sub-personality is doing. If you're the authentic self, no, you don't want that someone says you should change. No. You are authentic self and live that. And from there comes love. And if you really love others, you don't want to change them. Maybe you gotta, I don't like it, so what I mean, you can pity that they didn't find them, that they in distress. If you understand the top 5 regrets of the dying, you see if they're not changing, maybe they will one day regret something. But it's their thing. It's not my job to change them. It's their process. You can't take it away. Like you say, if you have the caterpillar in the cocoon, or you have the egg, if you try from the outside to bring them to life, you always kill. If you open up the egg, then the chicken can come out. If you open too early the cocoon, there will be never a strong butterfly. So only when it's broken from the inside out, then there is life. So the only thing what we can do is inspire. What is the best way to inspire? And why we have the problem with all the identifications of sub-personalities? Because we mainly see sub-personalities. Our parents and teachers and everything, sub-personalities are training the little authentic child to change and give them the feeling you're not okay because they live the sub-personalities. But the best what we can do is be the role model. That's what Marianne Williamson with her poem, The Deepest Fear, said. Our deepest fear is not that we are mediocre. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And our idea to play small, not to stress others, is totally wrong. We need to live up to our best, authentic light, and let it shine, because this gives others automatic the permission also to. So it's for us to step first into authenticity, out and disconnect from the identification with what we are not truly are. So I recommend you, for your personal sake, be more authentic and check every day, where can I be more authentic? Where am I the trap? Where I try to please others? What is really in my highest interest? And then live it and share it and show people that it's good. You become healthy, and if you can become healthy, family can become healthy, companies become healthy, countries can become healthy, the world can be healthy, the humanity better, the world, the planet is okay. So, be inspired to be authentic, live an authentic life.